Hi, I'm Nick Murtagh, PJ professional here at the Downshire Golf Complex. We're going to just explore some ideas, give you some hints and tips, all about trying to find more distance with your driver. So we're going to explore three key different things here today. We're going to talk about the rhythm in your golf swing and how that can help you find more speed at impact. We're going to look at nice high hands at the top of your backswing, and we're going to potentially look at a little bit more wristage in that backswing, again, to get you sending that ball further. So I just want to talk to you about rhythm today and habit, which I've fallen into in the past, is just starting my golf swing far too fast, out of sequence, out of rhythm, and what that actually leads to is a loss of speed at impact. What I like to see is a nice soft, a nice smooth swing to the top, certainly making that transition from the backswing to the downswing as quiet, as soft as possible. Because as I've measured on with TrackMan and seen on the practice tee a lot, is you actually gain more speed at impact when things are sequenced and working together. So we've got to make that as smooth and as effortless as possible, during the backswing up to the top, and then let it unload at that impact. So I'm just going to hit a shot here, just working on the rhythm and the tempo of my backswing, and we're going to hit a shot and just see what the data and TrackMan tells us. That felt really solid. A nice transition between the backswing and the downswing. Now let's look at what the data tells us. So just looking at the data here from my first shot, when I was solely focusing on the rhythm and transition from the top of my backswing to the downswing, we can see that my club head speed, now this is a measurement of how fast the club head is moving at impact. And mine was up at 109 miles per hour there. And to give that some context, for a club golfer, if we're kind of 95 miles an hour or up to over 100 miles an hour, we'll be very, very happy with that. PGA Tour average, we're talking about the best players in the world, they average about 113 miles per hour. And for every miles an hour that we can gain, we're looking at 3 to 4 yards, providing that's a nice centered contact. So another data point here, measurement, was face angle. Now this is where that club face is aligned to at impact. So is it pointing towards our target? And we can see here, 0.0 degrees, meaning that is absolutely square to my target. Mine was minus 0.1, which was, minimally shut. With that data point, if you're producing a 0 point whatever, that is exceptional. You've got to be very, very happy with that. You're going to be hitting target more often than not, for sure. One other little key data point, again, that I find when I have better rhythm, I hit the center of the club face more regularly. Now, we're not expecting you to hit the middle of the club face every single time. Within my window, my checkpoints, I like to be within 10 millimeters of the center of the face, horizontally and vertically. And we can see that I was 10 millimeters towards the heel and 2 millimeters down from the center of the face. So that's within my window, not going to have a massive impact on the direction of that ball. So I want to talk to you here about having nice high hands at the top of your backswing, and how this can influence how the club head moves into impact. So I know certainly when I'm teaching, I really like to see those hands getting nice and high and as stretched as far away from that golf ball as we possibly can, because when we're going to be generating a nice big circle, and with that big circle, that club head obviously has much further to travel to get back to impact, and therefore it has more time to generate that speed and increase that speed. So really feel at the top of your backswing, you're getting a big stretch, you're getting those hands nice and high, the arms, really pushed away from you. So we're creating as big a circle, as wide a circle as possible. So I'm just going to hit a shot here, and then we're going to have a look at what that data tells us. Again, felt really solid. Let's have a look what it says. So just looking at the data point here, on that club head speed again, that measurement at impact, we can see I'm fairly consistent. My club head speed was up at 108 miles per hour. We can see just looking at my carry there, my carry was 259.9 yards with a total of 288 yards. And what I found really interesting with this one, just by focusing on getting my hands a little higher and further away, my contact became a little bit more centered there. So we can see that was only 4 millimeters in the heel this time and 3 millimeters down. Again, giving me the best opportunity there to get the maximum distance due to a nice centered contact. So final key point here is we're going to talk about wrist hinge and the unloading and loading of that club head and the lever system. And what this looks like is just trying to create more angle there between the wrist and the shaft. So we can see that my arm and the club are very much creating an L shape here. And the more angle that we can create, when we then look to unload and release that angle, that is undoubtedly going to generate more speed and more energy into that club head, which is going to equate to more distance and more club head speed, providing a nice centered contact. So again, just try and feel like you're really creating nice wrist hinge, getting the thumbs pointing more towards your target at the top of your backswing. As mentioned, you've then got to release and unload that, and that will equate to more distance. So I'm going to hit a shot here, focusing on that. And again, we're just going to look at what that data says on TrackMan. That felt a little low on the face. It'll be interesting to see what TrackMan says there. So again, just looking at the data there from, focusing on creating more wrist hinge in my backswing. And we can see it had an impact straight away on the club head speed, and that measurement, that impact, I got up to 109 that time. And the carry and the total distance are pretty consistent again. So we're up at 247 carry, 278 total. But just again, like what I felt, the feedback there was that it was a little bit low on the face. So certainly, looking there, I was 11 millimeters down on the center of the face. That, without a doubt, had an impact on the total distance. So with all these key feelings that we're working on, we've got to make sure that we are hitting the center of that face to see those gains. So a summary of finding more distance and the keys to driving. Now, ultimately, you need to find more distance if you want to shoot low scores, or certainly lower scores. It's been proven, if you're coming into a green with a 7 or 8 iron, you're going to be far more accurate than coming with a 4 iron, 5 iron, or even a hybrid. You very much look at those tour professionals now. They are trying to get the ball as close to the green as they can, because they know the closer they are to the pin, the better chance it is going to of creating birdies and lower scores for them. So looking at those key points, if you can find more rhythm and tempo at the top of your backswing, we're going to find more speed at impact. If we can generate a little bit more wrist hinge and certainly get those hands a lot higher at the top of your swing, you are going to find a little bit more speed. Now, you're not always going to have access to TrackMan to measure that, so you've got to really establish some feels and use your laser on the range. Try and measure how far you're hitting out on the golf course, and what a well-struck shot feels like. You've got to find a feel for a smoother transition, a feel for higher hands, and certainly a feel for some more wrist hinge, and certainly, as we saw with TrackMan, finding the middle of that club face. Now, if you would like to have a session with me on TrackMan, then please hit me up. But I hope that helps.